Sugar in your teeth is called a cavity. Sugar in a baby's brain is called ADHD. Sugar in an adult's brain is called dementia. Sugar in your skin is called aging. Sugar in your body is called cancer. Sugar in your blood is called diabetes. Sugar in your eyes is called glaucoma. Sugar and alcohol kill good gut bacteria. Seed oils in your skin is called sunburn. Acne on your skin is undigested food. Bad breath is actually a smelly, rotting gut. Body odor is the smell of your gut coming out your skin. Never sit like this, sit like this. Your cells are new every 90 days. If you eat electrical live food, this will regenerate your cells, which can stop aging. After 3 days of fasting, your body produces stem cells to regenerate the body. If you want to heal your body, get rid of the sugar, the dairy, and the meat, and stick with the fruits and veg.
I agree. Fruits and veg. Winning combination. Get this book. The link is in the description of this video. It's a good read. It's got pictures. And anyone who's telling you to eat more fruits and veg, they've got to know what they're talking about.
Terrifying moments caught on camera in the woods.
You're already starting off wrong. I don't mess with the ocean. I don't mess with the woods.
You sound like a bitch. Bitch.
In this 2021 YouTube video, this YouTuber and his friend are out in the woods vlogging their camping experience. Everything is going well and they're set up for the night. They then have dinner and then go to sleep. Suddenly, the YouTuber is then seen waking up terrified to a blood-curdling sound. No one really knows what the sound came from, but some say it was just an animal. Regardless, it still would have been absolutely terrifying considering being in the woods for the night.
You want to go in the woods, friends, would say it's just an animal. Your friends who don't want to go in the woods, like Adonis, is telling you, oh no, that's a human. They just torturing him to make him sound like an animal.
Flat Earth means God is real, you have value, and he loves you.
Shout out to the person who left this comment to me. I'm not sure that flat Earth means that God is real, but if it does, that's no problem, bro. That's fine if you want to believe that. I don't believe that the Earth is flat because it's like I'm putting limitations on God. You know, God can do whatever he wants. You know what I'm saying? For Adonis, think what you want to think. The earth has to be flat to fit into man's comprehension of life. So that's why I don't believe it. But that's not to say that NASA is telling you the truth, or I'm not saying that.
NASA, in its wildest imaginations, never envisioned this scenario. An astronaut drowning in a spacesuit on a spacewalk 260 miles above planet Earth.
Drowning inside his own helmet
caused him to nearly drown inside of his own suit.
Water in his helmet?
It's an incredible story.
Harrowing.
almost unfathomable.
Unbelievable.
This was one they had never envisioned.
So I experienced what it's like to be a goldfish in a fishbowl.
Hey, let's use a diaper. I thought that's a clever solution to this problem.
Yeah, pretty neat. They also came up with the snorkel idea too, you know.
Makeshift snorkels.
This snorkel, if water is encroaching your face, the crew member can lean down and use this to breathe.
They're ripping that spacesuit apart, trying to figure out where all that water came from. Not like there are that many options when you're out on a spacewalk.
Next on Jonathan Bird's Blue World, Jonathan goes to inner space.
I'm standing on the International Space Station!
Water in space.
NASA says they cannot guarantee the helmet won't fill with water again.
And obviously if you fill the helmet, you can't breathe.
Scary story. Glad he made out okay. That's a leak.
Oh, it's an explained leak.
A significant leak.
When I was commanding the International Space Station, we had a significant coolant leak.
I imagine there are no insignificant leaks in space.
These things do happen.
It's not, something we don't have plans for.
But,
you're in space.
You're in space, which makes it much more difficult to fix.
It's a pretty big problem.
Just about 3 hours now since we first observed what you're seeing on the screen, that being a leak.
You can only leak so long, and then eventually you stop leaking because you run out of fluid.
Well, the fluid that you're seeing in the form of snowflake-like particles, it is a bit odd. Do not know what the source of that stream of particles is. A sudden streams looking like a snow shower.
Space is tough, especially whenever you're trying to show video from space.
How is it tougher to show video from space today with all of these advancements than it was in the 60s when you guys didn't, I don't know.
Matthias Maurer was wrapping up a 7-hour-long spacewalk outside the International Space Station when he noticed water leaking into his helmet. It was eerily similar to what happened to an Italian astronaut back in 2013.
You can literally see bubbles coming up from these astronauts' helmets. It's ridiculous.
So many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space? So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, on the outside of the space station, they'll liberate little pieces of, it's a really harsh environment out there, and the outside of the space station can get pretty good. And sometimes, you need a little fleck of paint or something that you might disrupt, floating away from it. And, that's generally what that is. I've never seen any kind of air bubble anywhere.
Yeah. Could it be that you're filming in an underwater pool and you're not really out there? Bubbles in space doing? That's what? Bubbles in space?
Bubbles in space?
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
What's up, man? Can you slide mine hashtag bubbles in space?
Hashtag bubbles in space?
Bubbles in space, brother. What's your word on it?
What is that?
Bubbles coming out in the spacewalks?
Oh, you're that guy.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm not gonna write that.
Not everybody can be a robot polisher.
Water in space.
Yeah, so just because they're lying doesn't mean that the earth is flat. That just means they're liars, in my opinion. That's just what I think. So flat earthers, believe what you want to believe. Don't be like LeBron James fans. These guys are toxic and want to beat you up just because you don't believe that this guy is the greatest that you've ever seen with your eyes. It's too much. It's too much.
Can we talk about the crazy symbolism in Fallout for 1 minute? First off, if you're not aware, Fallout is a hit TV show from Amazon Prime. It's based on a video game, and it's about a post-apocalyptic world. It's basically an alternate timeline if nuclear war happened during the 1950s during the height of the Cold War. But I couldn't help but think while watching the show, this isn't an alternate timeline. This is our current timeline. This story is based on real events. Basically, the reset after the mud flood. First off, there's evidence all over this realm that this world experienced an apocalypse of mud and fire in our not-so-distant past. Buried buildings, buried statues, buried railroad tracks, melted buildings. Our landscapes are literally scarred with electrical patterns. Something really bad happened in this place, and the history books do not talk about it. Now let's get to that symbolism. In this show, the elites ride out this apocalypse in underground bunkers called vaults. And that leads us to our main protagonist, Lucy.
There's that name Lucy again. I thought I heard somebody said Lucy was short for Lucifer, but we don't know. We believe the earth is round, so we're insane. Cuckoos. But then there's that number 33 again. That's Larry Legend's number. That's don't mean nothing. She likes the Celtics, that's all. But those aren't Golden State's colors. That don't mean nothing, though.
Vault number 33, that is. And the show basically follows Lucy's journey on the upside of the earth. Obvious symbolism, Lucy equals Lucifer. Vault 33, 33 levels in Freemasonry. What's interesting about this show is the timing. In the 1950s, something went really bad, and the majority of the show takes place 200 years later, which kind of correlates perfectly with the mud flood idea. Most mud flood theorists believe something really bad happened around 200-ish years ago. And let's get back to that Lucy symbolism. Lucy, statue of Lucifer from the 1860s. Chain around his ankle. Here's another statue from the 1860s. The Statue of Liberty, also with the chain around her ankle. Lucy loosed. Lucy escapes her vault. Lucy escapes the pit from inside the earth. Satan's little season after the Great Reset. Now the secondary storyline in this show follows Maximus, who's trying to join a brotherhood of knights who are looking for old world relics. Okay, a mystic order of knights looking for relics. Did these guys immediately pop into your mind? Knights Templar, Freemasons, Rosicrucians? Yeah, it makes sense, right? But this particular relic they're looking for in this show is one that has to do with free energy. And whoever finds this relic can rule the wastelands. Well, it just so happens in the mud flood theory that the old world buildings literally had technology that was free energy. They could tap into the ether. They could use the Earth's toroidal field to create free energy. Now, if this energy did exist, whoever had it could rule the world. Or somebody could rule the world by hiding from us and turning the energy into something they could monetize. Maybe a petrol economy. Maybe. And we should probably talk about the symbolism in the name of Fallout. First off, there's an obvious lightning bolt. Luke 10:18. I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Lucy, Lucifer, Satan. Got it? Then I went to the gematria calculator and I plugged in Fallout. I got 397. 397, so nothing, right? Well, not so fast. You know what other words and phrases are connected with 397? Well, Freemasons one, and also Death to America. Coincidence? Well, I'm not the kind of guy who really believes in coincidences. I don't know about you guys, but yeah. Anyways, guys, have you seen this show? Is this show talking about a post-mudflood world where Satan was loosed out of the pit? What are your thoughts? Am I close?
I don't know. Is he close? You leave it in the comments. It's just interesting. I don't know.
So apparently aliens don't like Jesus.
I could have told you that, and I'm a stupid YouTuber.
Check it out.
There's over 400 cases where these abductions have been halted by people calling on the name of Jesus Christ. And in the movie, we have the testimonies of these people who were having these experiences. They were terrified, and in the moment of terror, they recalled or called out to their childhood memories of who Jesus was. And the instant his name was called, it stopped.
I would believe that, but I said the name Jesus, and my rent is still $25,000 a month.
So why do these aliens respond to Jesus?
Exactly. Exactly. And that indicates the spiritual nature of what is going on. So the evidence is spiritual, and then when we get to the level of abductions, deceptive messages are being given to people, but then when they're halted in the name of Jesus, that is incredibly powerful.
Remember that song from church? In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus, we have the higher rent. In the name of Jesus, I got some high-ass rent. What the fuck is going on, Jesus? Are you down with these niggas? That's gonna make some of you mad. You need to be mad at this goddamn rent. The fuck is wrong with you?
Rent is $2,200 a month.
I'm positive I'm not hearing that right.
And a motherfucker just asked me, do I know all the shit that's going on in hip-hop right now?
What?
Bro, I do not give a fuck about none of that shit. None of them motherfuckers are paying me any type of bread to listen or know what the fuck they got going on.
He ain't lying.
And you already got Apple trying to just take motherfucking $10 here, $20 there randomly. Taxes is high as shit. Food is high as shit. Toilet paper high as shit. If it ain't about making no money, don't call me. If it ain't about making an investment so that investment can make us some more money over time, don't call me. If one of them motherfuckers ain't trying to pay me for a feature to get on their track, don't fucking call me. It's okay, girl. Rent is $2,200 a month. Rent is $2,200 a month. So don't ask me about no fucking rat beef.
Somebody asked what happened with the blimp. So this is a good question. So what happened was there was the Hindenburg incident. And that Hindenburg is when a blimp popped and caught on fire and exploded. And they said that after that one incident, which was just one, that all blimps should go away. It's too dangerous. Now, if you kind of think about if you were trying to deliberately get rid of the competition, you would cause an incident so you could get rid of the competition so everybody could look at the airplanes. And this is why, when you think about the blimps, why nobody cared about the airplanes flying around. I don't know if you guys ever watched the footage from the Wright brothers, and the first airplane that's flying around, the people are like looking the other direction. They're not even paying attention because they were already in the air.
I'm more so thinking about the people who were there. There were no women there, patriarchy, no people of color. I'm just curious, why do we all get the blame and none of us were there?
Men, we don't know what we did.
Why would they be looking and paying attention to the first flight as we were educated by with the Rockefellers and Morgans and all of them? Why would anybody care when people were already in the air? They were already flying around. So the whole first flight, you know, we got the first airplane, already existed. That's what it was.
Now there's a famous tablet called the Tablet of Shamash. And this tablet has a depiction of Shamash on the tablet along with 3 more humans. You could tell that he's not human because he's sitting down, and even though he's sitting, he's like 3 times taller than the people.
Or he could just be of higher status than them, but we don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know. You of course know, but I don't know.
And what's crazy is Shamash is sitting on a type of a box that has a symbol for magnetic fields on it. And then he's got this arch kind of a tripod coming up and over, which is right above this gigantic stone table. and then you see a human being standing in front of the stone table, holding it up with one hand. Okay? Now this is incredible. Above the table, there's a disc. That disc has lines in it. For many years, people thought that was pottery or some type of a design. But more recently, I discovered about 4.5 years ago, it's a frequency. It's a cymatic frequency that you can make on a Chladni plate. I made a famous post about this. It went uber viral for months. It did millions of views. And I played the actual sound frequency, and I put a warning on my post that says sound warning, because it's a very high-pitched sound. But when you activate that frequency with a magnetic field, it creates anti-gravity.
It's a lot of scientific-y stuff for the world to be round. I mean, round or flat. When is the cost of food going to go down? I'm just trying to figure out. The earth couldn't be round, because how could it be? A lot of you guys think God was born through a woman. That's possible, but the world being round isn't possible?
You smug cocksucker. Fuck you.
Two friends were in the woods. Here we go again with the camping. Don't run. Get him! Get his ass! Get him, Bigfoot! People always want to play. Then when it gets real, now they want to cancel you. You can't cancel Bigfoot, bitch.
Insurance companies are warning campers that if your tent is stolen during the night, that you won't be covered.
My friend and I went camping alone, but we saw this when we watched the footage.
You lot, be careful of these people, you know. Them people that just watch you. I call them the watchers. They just watch you from the distance. They're just preying you, like, you always see them in your views. They're just always watching you from afar. Like, they never pop up to communicate. They never say hi. They never message you. They're just always watching from the distance. Like, it's a bit scary. Like, are you shy? Are you shy to talk to me? Are you just watching me? Like, what's your problem? You lot give these people a fancy term and call them monitoring spirits. Yeah, I just call them weird. You know, it's alright. I don't bite. Don't be scared. You can just message me.
Yeah, just come and try to kill me now. Don't watch me. Just come and do it. Try. You know, it ain't gonna be an easy night. Come on, try. Don't just watch me, you psycho.
Things in a British grocery store that will put any American in a coma. Part 2. What you're looking at right now is beef mince. No, not wood shavings, not food for your chinchilla. Beef mince. Again with the beige food. Do they eat this in one sitting? We break out of character for one moment. This looks bomb. Back in character, back in character. Health food violation here is despicable. I swear this fridge was not even cool. I don't even think this chicken is safe to eat. And clean your bloody shelves. This was really scary. Look at the bread that does not exist on the entire European continent. Oh, they're so sweet, it's like cake. Are those nuggets? Despicable. Look at the color of this cheese, allure red galore. And then why does everything need to be Cadbury? Can you just not eat yogurt? Does everything need to be Cadbury flavored and Smarties flavored? And look at these huge bags of chips that are not individually packed. Yeah, they're not packs for sure. On a side note though, Brits, you guys aren't really that good at bantering or catching on to sarcasm and satire. Sit this one out, okay? Thanks.
That's actually not true. Brits are very good at satire and even comedy. Think Monty Python. That was like from the it was like way ahead of its time. What's my other guy that used to run around and chase the women all the time? Benny Hill. That were way ahead of his time.
No fucking way.
Before he continues, I would say, yeah, had a stick, because they could still break the window and get in.
since we finally have an APU, don't need that. This is how I activate it. Gotta hold this for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. There it is. So, for those of you guys who don't know, semi trucks most of the times can't be idling all night. So a lot of semi trucks, not all of them, but most semi trucks have a system where once the truck is off, this right here, you can tell, press right here, can you hear that? The truck is completely off, 100% off, but the APU allows for it to get hot or cold in here. But I got this little power inverter in here as well, which is what I use to connect my PlayStation. Oh, and I also got a brand new PlayStation, guys. Got a PlayStation 5. Just updated it. Finished doing all the updates. So now I can finally get to play. I got about 8 hours before I got to make this delivery, and then I got to go pick up one more pallet as well in the morning. So let's get comfy and let's game it up and eat some food before we got to make this delivery.
That's dope. Shout out to all you young big rig drivers. What if he owned his own truck? Psst, caking it. So I'm saying, you girls are out here losing. You 40 years old, you still ain't found the dude? What's wrong with your coochie?
There is a monster lurking in the Philippines. This creature is called the Sigmund.
The Sigmund Freud? What's his name? Sigmund. Okay, Freud. My bad.
Which comes from Philippine mythology. According to the story, the Sigmund is a type of vampire that comes out at night to exsanguinate its victims. Some of its abilities include being able to turn invisible, and it can emit a sound resembling that of a hollow drum, beating to the march of a crowd of people. It's also said to be able to detach its own shadow to do its bidding, which can even do physical harm. It's often described as being a cross between a dog and a hornless goat. It has reddish-brown fur, long ears, a long tail that it can use as a whip, and it also has a terrible odor. Now, perhaps one of its creepiest mannerisms is that it walks backwards with its head lowered between its hind legs. The Sigmund is also believed to emerge most often from its lair during Holy Week, or the week leading up to Easter, to harvest the hearts of children and fashion them into amulets. The legend also talks about certain families known as Sigbanan, who possess the power to control these creatures and keep them in clay jars. It's also said that the Aswang, another mythical Philippines creature, will keep the Sigmund as a pet or familiar. One theory suggests that the Sigmund may actually be a rare subspecies of aggressive kangaroo that was once found in the Philippines. But what do you think?
I think that's not a reason for you to not go to Philippines, passport brothers, because why deal with these American women? Unless, shout out to you, brother, if you already found one that's in the mud flood theories, flat earth, and the Anunnaki. Well then, brother, you found you a winner.
So someone just sent me this. Just watch.
February 2018, in Vietnam, a group of young people went fishing in Ma Trang Lagoon at night. After a while removing the fish caught in the net, they discovered that there was a silver ring stuck to the net. The young man was observing the bracelet when a hand reached out and pulled him under the water. Some people thought it was just a fake video, but after taking a closer look at the video, they discovered it was indeed a raised hand with a black face and bright eyes hidden under the water. This hand performs the action very quickly, only when slowing down the video can be clearly seen. This young man was later successfully rescued by others after he had drunk a full stomach of water.
Medieval toilets are amazing, but staying in them can be life-threatening. The king went to the toilet as usual, but he underestimated the assassin's determination to kill him. The cunning assassin climbed up directly from below and stabbed the king's buttocks several times with a sharp spear, leading to the king's tragic death on the toilet. As for the toilets of ordinary people, they were not so luxurious. Usually dozens of people crowded together to defecate, and after finishing, they used the sponge stick in the bucket to reach in and wipe it clean, and then later put it into the pool of water at the foot to swish it around before putting it back into the bucket. Since the sponge sticks were communal, it was easy to spread all sorts of diseases. Although more hygienic toilets were made available after the Industrial Revolution, they came with the risk of explosions, as the methane gas released in the poop would build up, and as the pressure increased it was likely to cause an explosion, and in severe cases, even death. What's even more outrageous is that Germany's most advanced submarine was sunk by its own toilet. It turns out that this toilet is very troublesome to flush, to operate a variety of valves in order to flush out the poop. The submarine for this reason also with a toilet specialist. However, the captain thought it was simple. but he made a mistake in operating it himself, which directly led to seawater gushing out of the toilet and reacting with the acid in the batteries. A large amount of chlorine gas was released, and the submarine had to rush to the surface, with the end result, of course, being sunk.
Leonardo da Vinci was a Freemason who understood the occult and left hidden codes within his paintings. Take a look for yourself with an open mind. The Vitruvian Man, Leonardo da Vinci, the physical plane is the square, the eternal plane, which is the mind, is the circle, which is the circle, the mind, controlling the physical plane, the physical body, which is the Masonic square and compass. The compass for the circle on top of the square for the square. The Last Supper is astrology. Aries rules the head regent, which is the Lamb of God, and he's on the head of the table. Taurus is the bull, which has thick necks. Gemini is the two twins, which rules the two arms and the two lungs. This is why he's holding up his hands like this. Leo is the dominant lion, which is why he's got his elbow on the table. Cancer is the crab, which have pinchers, is why he's holding a knife. Virgo, the virgin, the woman, which has no Adam's apple, it's a woman. Jesus is the sun, the risen savior, the light of the world. He represents the heart. Libra is the balancing of the sun between summer and winter. This is why he's holding out his arms for the balance. Pisces represents the two fish, the 2 feet, which is why he's holding out his 2 hands on the edge of the table, the end. There are 4 groups of 3 people, and there are 3 months in each season: spring, summer, fall, winter.
You gotta get this book. It's interesting how this brother connects the dots. The link for it is in my description. Pick it up.
Y'all, the ancestors are waking up and they are angry. Did you guys hear about the earthquake that happened in Lake Lanier? I mean, the Bible told us these things were going to be happening like a thief in the night, and literally this happened at nighttime.
That's not... It didn't say things are gonna happen like a thief in the night.
And a paradigm shift, and this is the age of Aquarius where truth is coming to the light, y'all. Check this out.
Y'all, Lake Lanier has earthquakes. Shit is getting real. Our ancestors are ready to rise. And if you don't know what the fuck Lake Lanier is, I suggest you look at my playlist. Baby, it's not to be played with. I mean, we know better.
I just can't take women seriously who have the thing in their nose. They just remind me of livestock.
This is not a spiral, it's an optical illusion. If you don't believe me, you can pause the video and trace your finger around each of the concentric circles, and that's what these are. If you still don't believe me, I have run it through a special analysis tool to outline these circles. That is from the Twitter account of Akiyoshi Katoka, whose work I have featured here before. He also posted this, claiming that this blue and green is actually the same color. He is a professor of psychology in Kyoto, and you can see why I consider him to be my nemesis. This one is crazy because even if you zoom way in, it is hard to see it. But if you take this into Photoshop and cut out a square from over here and drag it over on top of this one, and yeah, it's the exact same color. But good luck getting your brain to see it once we zoom back out again. These only get worse as they go. He insists that these 2 faces are exactly the same color. You can stare at them as long as you want. You will not be able to make your brain see that. But if you take it into Photoshop and crop a square out of that face and drag it on top of this one, yep, we can zoom way in if you want proof that it is the exact same shade of gray. But as soon as we zoom back out again on the original image, yeah, this is witchcraft.
Is it witchcraft though, or is it science? Or is science a form of witchcraft? I don't know.
Have you ever got a visitor yet?
Visitor?
Anybody come visit you?
Like what?
I don't know.
What? Y'all set me up here. What type of visitor, brother? What we talking about? Like, what y'all?
No, I'm just saying. You know, a visitor that probably don't want nobody to know that they came to visit you.
Nah, I ain't never had nothing like that. Everybody came to the door. I knew who was gonna come to the door. Right? It wasn't no surprise guests around this motherfucker.
Because sometimes you might have been usually the visitors come. You might have been in L.A. and you probably was somewhere like one of them restaurants eating, and somebody just come and sit down and say, "How you doing today?" Hey, Drew.
I ain't never had that conversation, brother.
I'm just
not once.
You want 67 more commercials?
Nah. And I think I know the visit y'all talking about. I ain't never had that visit. This came from hard work, brother. I ain't been that visitor yet. Not yet.
Everybody claims it came from hard work. Maybe in the beginning, but once you get to super, uber, now they gave you a look. Now it's the algorithm on your side.
I saw that video showing the comments
and TikTok are different.
Exactly. I think it's Instagram. Was doing it with her boyfriend, and they were both looking at the same thing, but they had different comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that video, and before I play that, understand this whole thing is like being a DJ, and all of us as YouTubers or DJs, we get the same records from the same record store. It's all about how you spin the records, where you play them, how you blend them. You know what I'm saying?
This is the most insane example of how everyone is experiencing completely different social medias at the exact same time. Like, this video, my boyfriend said he'd be over by 3 after golfing, and like, it's just her every half an hour taking a video saying, oh, he's still not here, and it gets to like 5 or 6 p.m. and he's still not here. Okay, I opened the comments of this video, and kind of as I expected, everyone was saying, oh, that's really rude, it's the disregard of her time, I don't like him, did he communicate with you? If not, then that's a red flag. Okay, fair enough. I send this video to my boyfriend, who was sat next to me, and then I said to my boyfriend, lol, look at the comments. Bear in mind, these comments were coming up at the top of the list. So as soon as you open the comments, these are the ones that came up for me.
Well, first, I think it's interesting that her and her boyfriend were sitting in the same room, not communicating with one another, but they were on their phones. And she did communicate with him by saying lol. And she sent him a text and said LOL, when she could have just said, hey, babe, look at this, and like gave him her phone to look at.
Tell me fucking why my boyfriend opens the comments on his phone. Again, it's the first list of comments that come up. It's the same time on the same video. Or you could get your own hobby instead of waiting around for him. Like, God forbid he has a good time. He meant before 3 a.m. He's ahead of schedule. No fucking wonder we're all so divided when you can look at the same comments on the same video and it'll change them based on who you are, and I presume based on like other activity in the app.
Yeah, and they know you're not going to talk with your significant other. They know you're going to send them the text, even though he's standing right next to you. We thought that stuff was a joke, Generation X, when they was like first introducing this to people in the 90s and stuff like that. Now it's like commonplace.
Because people look at the fucking comments of a video to gain perspective and see how everyone feels about that video. Like,
right, because how everyone else feels is how you're going to feel. God forbid you have your own feeling about something.
I do that. I think everyone does that.
Everyone doesn't do that. Not even, well, maybe everyone in you guys is Generation Alpha, Generation Beta, you millennials.
Because people look at the fucking comments of a video to gain perspective and see how everyone feels about that video. Like, I do that. I think everyone does that. So if we're looking at it from 2 completely different angles, and the only thing that I can assume really that's that different about our interactions with Instagram is that he's a guy and I'm a girl. And so obviously these are all like on his side and all of mine were on her side. What? Also, obviously there are millions of other examples why we're so divided, but this is not helping. Like, also in this specific situation, in like any of these situations, it doesn't necessarily matter which party is actually in the right. What matters is the fact that people are being fed completely different takes on media. And like, I tried to scroll to find the comments that were on his, and I couldn't find them. It's insane.
Yeah, comments were mocking the man, and the comments on his side was mocking the woman.
Yes. Whenever I'm looking at comments, I make the idiot mistake of thinking this represents some consensus that, you know, but actually, no, you're just looking at the algorithm serving the comments and the content. That is so up.
The comments are supposed to be a conversation about the thing. So if you're curating the conversation in an unnatural way, like that's very different than showing me what I want to see.
Yes.
Because now you're changing the dynamics of how things are discussed.
Yes, sir. That's the evil right there. That's the evil.
That's crazy.
The other assumption with the algorithm is that the algorithm is just like random, or it's using some set of variables and serving things up. But this is an idiot assumption. I mean, you could, if you are controlling comments, then that means like, all right, let's just like make people mad at each other. Let's make people completely pissed at each other as much as possible. Convey this idea that there's like these massive divides between us, and then they're gonna fight each other instead of recognizing they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, I'm not going to explain these here because of the algorithm. Join the channel. We'll break this stuff down and explain it. I'm not because like I'm playing you. I'm not because I can't. But as a member, I got a little more leeway. Thank you to my channel members. We said thank you. Ha! To my channel members. No diddy when I say member. Thank you to my channel members. Fuck you if you're not a member. Nah, I'm just kidding. But seriously, join. Thank you.
They will be more convincing females than they are at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a strange thing to do. You know, for just normal people like us, we just think, why would anybody want to change their gender or pull out, you know, try to do this deception? And now, do you think it's something they have to do to please their gods, right? Their
I think it is. I think it's part of this cult, club, society. You know, Mrs. Thatcher made a famous remark years back. She was one, and she spoke about a certain person who was getting above a station, and she was saying, he is not one of us. And, you know, at the time you would tend to think, well, they're speaking only of the power elite. But now that we have a different coloration on that now, because we see it could possibly mean that he wasn't a member of this club. I think the Mitfords used to have a term, you and non-you. The you being us, and of course the non-you being the rabble. And if you're one of us, then of course there must be some physical evidence that you have joined this club. Now, I don't think all of the males have to do it, or even all of the females, but I do. It is quite obvious, the more I study this, these people hate natural women.
Yeah.
They hate natural childbirth, they hate natural marriage, they hate natural families.
But of course they hate that, because these fallen angels, they hate that. So you gotta hate what your master hates.
When you look at this photo, do you notice anything strange? Do you see anything that catches your eye? Well, let me zoom it in for you. Do you see it now? During one night in the Philippines, a Reddit user who goes by the name of Project Mindless was at a family gathering enjoying a nice dinner with his family members. One of his family members then decided to take a group photo of all 6 members together, so they gathered around and snapped a quick photo. When checking the photo, all seems normal with everyone happily smiling, but something was definitely off. Because if you zoom in for a closer inspection, you see a small childlike head peeping out behind the group. Reddit user Project Mindless stated that their child reminded him of the character Toshio from the well-known horror film Ju-on, and his family were seriously creeped out upon reviewing the photo. They say they have no idea who the boy could be or why he was there, and they absolutely swear that it was just the 6 of them at the gathering. But what do you think?
Well, I think there's ghosts in America too, so don't let that stop you from taking a trip to the Philippines, because the women are much nicer and more traditional than American women.
Have you ever seen someone suddenly get random bruises out of nowhere, get sick, and get hurt, but there is no explanation how and why it happened? They might be the victim of a mangkukulam. Just like the witch in Western culture, the mangkukulam is a practitioner of dark magic. The mangkukulam uses insects, voodoo dolls, and things from their victims to inflict pain and torture. They can be anyone, and in order to avoid them, just make sure to eat healthy and let your doctor know if you're hurt. Okay?
Fly with me on a banned airline. PIA was banned from flying into Europe, the UK, and the US after an investigation discovered that 262 of their pilots were suspected of faking their licenses. Some were also accused of having someone else sit their exam for them.
Are you excited for our flight?
Small planes freak me out, so I was nervous. Then I saw a flight attendant pull his seat out of a cupboard, followed by a passenger being allowed to sit in the flight deck while we were cruising. Anyways, I've lived a good life, and at least I can see breathtaking views before I go. Now, shockingly, this flight was top tier. There was no turbulence, we were served a light meal even though it was only a 45-minute flight, and the pilot basically doubled as a tour guide, informing us about each mountain we passed. We were so happy to land, and honestly, if my mum knew the stuff I got up to abroad, she would hide my passport.
What are you doing there? Stop simping. Just because your girl want to go do something, you got to draw the line sometimes, man. Sometimes. This is one of those times.
A couple's serene camping trip in the wilderness takes a heart-pounding turn as they find themselves encircled by a pride of lions in the dead of night. The moment the man spots the lions, he zips up the tent and douses his flashlight, hoping to make themselves less visible. Yet, the lions linger, their curiosity piqued by the unfamiliar shelter in their territory. Lions, being the patient hunters they are, don't easily give up on potential prey. One particularly bold male seems fixated on the tent, pacing back and forth just outside. Inside, the man frequently checks for any signs of the lions departing. Seizing a moment of apparent calm, he daringly peeks out, only to attract the male lion's attention back to the tent. As the lion starts to paw at their temporary abode, the man resorts to shouting, trying to use his voice to intimidate the predator. Miraculously, a flap of the tent falls, startling the lion into retreating temporarily. However, the relief is short-lived as the pride doesn't stray far, leaving the couple in a state of heightened vigilance, constantly watching for any signs that the lions might overturn their tent, a scenario they would likely not survive. Despite the fear and danger, the leader of the pride, the male lion, continues his attempts to breach the tent, undeterred by the man's continued shouts and attempts at scaring him off. It seems, though, that the lion eventually deems the tent and its occupants not a threat or worth the effort, as the female lions start to disperse and the male finally decides to move on. After a tense wait to ensure the lions have truly left, the man bravely exits the tent to retrieve self-defense tools from another tent. It leaves us to wonder, faced with such a perilous situation,
why didn't he have the self-defense tools in the tent with him? That's what it leaves me to wonder. Also, it leaves me to wonder, why are you out there in their territory doing anything?
How would any of us react?
I wouldn't have been there. That's how I would have reacted when my wife was like, yo, let's go. I'm like, shut the fuck up, bitch. I ain't going.
Would we have the courage to stay quiet and hopeful inside the tent, or would we try to scare off the lions?
I would try not to go. Divorce. You want a divorce? Shut the fuck up then.
What would you do if you were in their shoes?
I wouldn't be in their shoes. That's why I'm here doing this video.
If you're in an accident while riding a motorcycle, remember, if your bike lays down, chances are pretty good it's totaled. Do not accept an insurance adjuster bullying you into believing that components should be replaced on a bike that's clearly totaled just because they want to save some money.